Harrison's phone buzzed with the cancellation text just as he pulled into the restaurant parking lot. 3 years of loneliness, 1 night of hope, gone in 5 words. He should have driven away. Instead, his headlights caught something that made him kill the engine. A woman in an evening dress, designer heels kicked off beside her, sobbing into her hands near a car that cost more than his annual salary. She looked up when his door clicked open, mascara-streaked face twisting between panic and relief, and he saw it, the same raw desperation he'd worn the night his wife died. "I'm fine," she lied, voice cracking, fingers unconsciously hiding a watch that could have funded his 8-year-old son's future. But Harrison had learned something about grief. People who say they're fine while falling apart are usually running from something far bigger than tears. He offered his hand anyway. The woman stared at it like it was both a lifeline and a trap. What Harrison didn't know was that this parking lot meeting would become the first crack in a carefully constructed wall, and that sometimes the right person appears exactly when you've stopped believing in second chances. Harrison stood with his hand extended, while the woman stared at it like she'd forgotten what kindness looked like. Her shoulders trembled with each breath, mascara running in dark rivers down her face. The dress she wore probably cost more than his mortgage, navy silk catching the parking lot lights. Behind her, the luxury sedan gleamed like an accusation. All that money, and still ending up alone and crying. It reminded him of the hospital where his wife had died, how all the expensive machines couldn't fix what really mattered. "I'm not trying to be a hero," Harrison said, dropping his hand but staying close. "Just seems like a rough night." The wind picked up, carrying rain and expensive perfume. She hugged herself, knuckles white. When she looked at him, really looked, he saw calculation behind the tears. The moment someone decides whether to trust a stranger. Harrison knew that moment. He'd lived it in a grief support group he'd quit because he couldn't stomach other people's pain. "You don't understand," she said, voice steadier than expected. "I shouldn't be here." The way she said it made him wonder if she meant the parking lot or her entire life. She glanced at her car, then back at him. Harrison recognized it, the look of someone carrying too much, for too long, with nowhere safe to put it down. He'd worn that look for months after burying his wife. "Nobody should be anywhere, really," Harrison said. "We all just end up places." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. She wiped her face, smearing mascara worse. "I'm Harrison, and I was supposed to have a blind date tonight, but she canceled, so I'm not exactly having a great time either." The admission surprised him, but something about her broken elegance made honesty feel safer than small talk. "Veronica," she said after a pause. Just the name, nothing more. She looked at the restaurant, warm light spilling where couples laughed. "Was it this restaurant?" Harrison nodded. She laughed, sharp, bitter. "Of course it was." She pushed off the car, swaying on bare feet. The heels lay abandoned like evidence. "I'm the one who canceled," she said, meeting his eyes. "I'm your date." The parking lot held its breath. The silence stretched thick. Veronica stood in her expensive dress and bare feet, and Harrison realized she'd been out here the whole time. While he'd gotten the text, she'd been 20 yards away, falling apart. "Why?" The question escaped before he could stop it. She flinched. "I got scared. Saw your profile picture with your son and I can't do families. Don't know how." The way she said it spoke of damage deeper than dating fears. Harrison thought about Cole at home, probably still awake, wondering if his dad was having fun. The kid had been so excited, had picked out Harrison's shirt, had given him a pep talk. "My son thinks I need to smile more," Harrison said. "Says I look sad even when I'm not." Veronica's expression softened. Smart kid. She bent for her shoes, wobbled. Harrison caught her elbow. The watch on her wrist caught light, platinum with diamonds. She pulled away quickly, but not before he felt how cold her skin was. "I should go," Veronica said, but didn't move. She stared at the restaurant with longing. "Have you eaten?" Harrison asked. She shook her head. His stomach growled, loud in the quiet. She laughed, real this time. "I haven't either. And honestly, going home to tell my kid I ate frozen pizza alone sounds worse than whatever this is." He gestured between them. Veronica studied him like a puzzle. "You don't know me," she said carefully. "I could be anyone." "Yeah," Harrison agreed. "But you're crying in a parking lot because you were too scared to meet someone. That tells me more than a dating profile." The words hung between them, honest and unkind. Veronica's jaw tightened. Then she sighed, something shifting. "One meal. Then I'm gone." Harrison held out his arm, old-fashioned. After a moment, she took it. Her hand was still cold, but she let him lead her toward the warm lights. Inside, the hostess took in Veronica's bare feet and tear-stained face, Harrison's rumpled shirt. "Reservation for Beckett," he said. They were led to a corner booth. Veronica slid in, back to the room, hiding. The menu was expensive, leather-bound. Veronica didn't open hers, just stared at the table. The contrast struck him. She looked at home in the expensive restaurant, but utterly lost in her own skin. "Tell me about your son," she said abruptly. Harrison blinked, caught off guard. Most people didn't want to hear about Cole on first dates, but Veronica's voice suggested genuine want, like she was using the question as armor. "Cole's 8, Harrison started, pulling out his phone. The kid grinned from the screen, gap-toothed, holding a science project. "Smart, talks like a philosopher." He scrolled to another photo. Veronica leaned forward, studying with surprising intensity. "He looks happy," she said softly, wistful. Harrison felt his chest tighten. "He is. Took a while after his mom died, but yeah, he's good now." He said it plainly, not seeking pity, just stating fact. Veronica's eyes widened, then filled with understanding. "I'm sorry," she murmured. Harrison appreciated that she didn't ask questions. Instead, she reached across, finger tracing the phone screen where Cole smiled. "He has your eyes, but better laugh lines." The unexpected observation made Harrison smile for real. The waiter arrived. Veronica ordered without looking at the menu, voice steady. She'd composed herself, the crying woman replaced by someone who knew expensive restaurants. But Harrison caught how her hand shook, reaching for water, how she kept glancing at the door. "So," he said after the waiter left, "are you going to tell me why you were really crying?" It was bold. Veronica's fingers tightened around her glass. "If I tell you, you'll either think I'm crazy or you'll look at me differently. Either way, this ends." Harrison leaned back. Grief had taught him patience. "Then don't tell me yet. Tell me something else instead." Veronica's eyebrows rose. "Like what?" He shrugged. "Anything. Whatever you want me to know." Giving her that choice felt right. Veronica stared for a long moment, then slowly began. "I used to have a dog," she said, voice soft. "Big golden retriever named Copper. Dumbest, sweetest thing ever. Used to steal socks." A sad smile crossed her lips. "My father made me give him away when I was 12. Said I needed to focus on becoming someone important, not wasting time on animals." The way she said, "someone important," dripped with bitterness. "I still think about that dog. Wonder if his new family let him steal socks." She looked up. "That's the kind of person I come from. Who thinks love is less important than achievement?" Harrison felt understanding shift. The expensive watch, the luxury car, the fear of families. It was making sense. "For what it's worth," he said carefully, "Cole has a rule. No socks because they're foot prisons. We're a barefoot family now." Veronica repeated foot prisons and laughed, really laughed. God, I can't remember the last time someone made me laugh about something that simple. She wiped her eyes. Your son sounds wonderful. Harrison heard the hunger for something she'd never had. Their food arrived. They ate slowly, conversation flowing easier. Veronica asked about his work, fixing heating and cooling systems. He asked about hers. She said something vague about consulting. Harrison let it slide. He told her about Cole's space obsession. Veronica listened with rare attention. When she smiled at his stories, her whole face transformed, mask slipping to reveal someone younger, less burdened. Can I ask you something? Veronica said. Harrison nodded. Why did you come over? In the parking lot? Most people would have driven away. It was fair. Harrison considered his answer. My wife, when she was sick, she'd say kindness was free and the world needed more of it. After she died, I forgot that. Cole reminded me. Kid sees someone sad, asks if they're okay. Makes me want to be better. Veronica was quiet, then reached across and took his hand. Her fingers were warm now. Thank you. For not driving away. Harrison squeezed gently. Thank you for not running. They sat like that, hands linked, two strangers who'd stumbled into something neither planned. It was the first time since his wife died that he'd felt connected to another person, and it scared him how much he didn't want it to end. When they left, Veronica walked beside him barefoot again, carrying her shoes. The parking lot was darker now, most diners gone. I should drive you, Harrison offered. You're upset and it's late. She shook her head. I live nearby. But didn't move toward her car, just stood under the streetlight. Harrison waited. Somewhere distant, a dog barked. Veronica flinched. Can I see you again? Harrison asked. Veronica looked at him with complicated emotion. Fear, hope, grief tangled. I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm not in a good place to be around people, especially people with kids. Harrison thought of her story about the dog. Cole's independent. I'm just talking about coffee. Just seeing where this goes. Veronica bit her lip, fighting with herself. One more time. Coffee. But Harrison, I'm not who you think I am. My life is complicated. If we do this, there are things you'll find out that might make you wish you'd driven away tonight. It was warning and plea. Harrison heard both. He thought about playing safe. But he also thought about her laugh, her gentleness, the loneliness mirroring his own. Everyone's complicated, Harrison said. I've got a dead wife, a kid who thinks he can talk to stars, and a bank account that scares me monthly. You've got whatever you've got. Maybe we're both a mess. Or maybe we're just people who ended up in a parking lot on the same night. Either way, I'd like to see you again. Veronica's eyes shimmered. You don't know what you're saying yes to. Harrison shrugged. Probably not. But I said yes to a blind date tonight. Sometimes not knowing works out okay. They exchanged numbers, her fingers shaking. She saved herself as just V, not even her full name. I'll text you, he said. She nodded, backing toward her car. Harrison? She called when he was halfway to his truck. He turned. She stood under the parking lot lights, barefoot and beautiful and broken. Your wife was right. About kindness. Tell Cole he's lucky to have you. Then she drove away. The drive home blurred, Harrison replaying the night. By the time he pulled in, he'd nearly convinced himself it was a fever dream. But his phone buzzed. A text from V. Thank you for tonight. I mean it. Harrison stared before typing back. Thank you for not running. Sleep well. Inside, Cole slept on the couch, the neighbor reading. How'd it go? She asked. Harrison thought. Weird. But good weird. Maybe. The neighbor smiled. That's usually the best kind. After she left, Harrison carried Cole to bed. Met someone interesting tonight, buddy, he whispered. Not sure what happens next, but I think your mom would have liked her. The next days passed in strange rhythm. Harrison texted Veronica mornings, simple messages. She responded sporadically, like arguing with herself, but she always responded. Thursday, he suggested coffee. Saturday, she agreed after a pause long enough he thought she'd say no. They met at a small place near the park. Veronica arrived exactly on time, dressed down in jeans and a sweater that still probably cost more than his wardrobe, but looked almost normal. "Hi," she said, nervous. "Hi back," he replied. Some tension left her shoulders. They ordered coffee, hers black, his loaded with cream and sugar. Conversation started awkward. Then Cole called, breathlessly asking if fish could survive in space with water helmets. "Probably not, buddy. But good question." When he hung up, Veronica watched with that expression, part longing, part something darker. "He calls you midday to ask about space fish?" Harrison shrugged. "It's our thing. He has questions. He calls." Veronica's eyes got that shimmery quality. "My father never answered his phone, too busy building an empire to talk about fish." She said it lightly, but Harrison heard the old wound. "Your dad sounds like an asshole." Veronica choked on her coffee, laughing. "That's, yeah, actually accurate." "God, you just say things." They talked for 2 hours, coffee going cold. Veronica never said what she did for work, but she told him about places she'd traveled, languages she spoke, a life that sounded glamorous and desperately lonely. "Do you have friends?" Harrison asked. Veronica's face shuddered. "Not really. People know who I am, but they don't know me. There's a difference." They started seeing each other regularly. Coffee turned to lunch, lunch to park walks where Cole would join. The first time Cole met her, he studied Veronica intensely, then announced, "You have sad eyes like Dad used to, but you smile real, so that's good." Veronica looked stunned, then crouched to his level. "You have smart eyes, like you see things others miss." Cole beamed, and from that moment, he'd adopted her. Harrison watched them together with joy and terror, but warning signs appeared. Veronica never let him pick her up. She dodged questions about family, past, anything revealing. Once at the park, a photographer walked by, and Veronica turned away, hiding her face. "Paparazzi make me nervous," she explained weakly. Her phone rang constantly, calls she never answered in front of him. And there was the money thing, the way she never looked at prices, living in a different economic universe than his paycheck-to-paycheck reality. 6 weeks in, Harrison searched for her online. He felt guilty, but mysteries were piling up and Cole was getting attached. He typed Veronica with the few details he knew. What came back made his blood run cold. Veronica Ashford, billionaire heiress, daughter of tech mogul Preston Ashford, missing from public life 8 months. Photos showed a different woman, perfectly styled, standing beside powerful people. But the eyes were the same, that sad look that had drawn him in the parking lot. Harrison sat at his kitchen table, trying to process. Veronica wasn't just wealthy, she was wealth itself. She'd been lying or hiding truth for weeks. He thought about Cole, how attached the kid had gotten. Thought about the woman crying beside a car she could buy 100 times over. The question, confront her or walk away. Could whatever this was survive secrets and class differences? He called her. Veronica answered on the second ring, voice bright. "Hey, I was just thinking about you." Harrison's stomach twisted. "We need to talk. In person." Silence told him she knew. "You looked me up," she said finally, voice flat. "Yeah." Pause. "Can you come to my place? I'll text the address, I think. It's time you saw everything." The building was everything he'd expected. Sleek, modern. The elevator to the penthouse felt like ascending to another world. When doors opened into her apartment, Harrison stepped into a magazine spread, floor-to-ceiling windows, art probably worth more than his house, and in the middle, Veronica in the same jeans and sweater, looking small and out of place in her own home. "So," she said, not moving toward him, "now you know." Harrison walked in slowly. Everything expensive, elegant, perfect, and completely impersonal. No photos, no clutter. A hotel. A place to exist rather than a home. "Why didn't you tell me?" Veronica laughed, that bitter parking lot laugh. "Because this is what happens. I tell people, suddenly I'm not a person anymore. I'm a bank account. You saw me that night because you didn't know." Harrison thought about that. If he'd known in that parking lot, would he have approached? Probably not. He would have assumed she had people, resources. "I wouldn't have talked to you. Would have thought you didn't need help." Veronica nodded. "Exactly. But I did need help. So badly I was crying because I couldn't make myself walk into a restaurant and pretend to be normal." She moved to the window. "My father built an empire. My mother maintained our image. And I learned love was transactional. Until you." "I'm not some saint," Harrison said. "I'm a guy who fixes air conditioners. I don't know how to navigate your world. This isn't my life." She turned, tears streaming. "It's not mine either. This is my father's life, his expectations. I hate it. The galas, the fake friends. I hate that I can't go outside without worrying. I hate that I gave away my dog because someone said achievement mattered more than love." Her voice broke. "I canceled that date because I saw Cole and thought, I'll ruin this kid." Harrison closed the distance, taking her hands. Cold again. "You haven't ruined anything. Cole adores you. You listen to him, really listen, in ways most adults don't." Veronica shook her head. "I don't know how to be normal. Don't know how to have relationships that aren't about power or money. My father, he's going to find out about you. And when he does, he'll try to destroy it. That's what he does." "Let him try," Harrison said, anger surprising him. "I'm not scared of your father." But even saying it, he felt the weight of the lie. He was scared. Not of the man himself, but what this revelation meant. The gap between their worlds felt insurmountable. Veronica must have seen the doubt because she pulled her hands away. "You should go. This was a mistake. I should have stayed in that parking lot." "I don't want to go," Harrison said, but didn't move toward her. They stood in her expensive apartment, city glittering behind her. "I like you, Veronica. More than I thought I could like anyone after my wife. But I have Cole to think about. And this, it's complicated in ways I didn't sign up for." The words came harsher than intended, but they were true. Veronica nodded. "I know. I'm sorry. For lying. For hiding. You deserve better." They stood in silence, weight of everything unsaid pressing down. Finally, Harrison moved toward the elevator. "I need to think. It's a lot." Veronica didn't try to stop him. "I understand. Tell Cole I'm sorry." Harrison stepped into the elevator. As doors began closing, he saw her standing alone in that perfect, empty apartment, and wondered if he was making a terrible mistake. Cole knew something was wrong the moment Harrison walked through the door. "Where's Veronica?" Cole's face fell when Harrison said she wasn't coming. "Why not? Did I do something?" The question broke Harrison's heart. "No, nothing like that. It's grown-up stuff." Cole crossed his arms, looking like his mother. "That's what you said when Mom got sick. But it wasn't. It was her dying." The accusation hung in the air, true and painful. Harrison sat heavily. Cole climbed up beside him, waiting. "Veronica's different than I thought. She comes from a really different world than us. Lot of money, lot of pressure. And I'm not sure we fit in that world." Cole frowned. But she fits in our world. She likes foot prisons and space fish. Doesn't care that our couch has that stain. She just likes us. Out of the mouths of babes. It's more complicated than that. Is it? Cole challenged. Or are you scared? Like how Veronica was scared in the parking lot, but you helped her. Maybe she needs help now? Harrison looked at his son. This kid who saw things with clarity adults had lost. When did you get so smart? Cole shrugged. Mom always said love was brave. You gotta be scared and do it anyway. He leaned against Harrison's side. I miss her. Veronica. She reads space books with different voices, and she listens when I talk about Mom. Doesn't get weird like other grown-ups. Harrison wrapped his arm around his son. What if her dad is mean? What if he doesn't like us? Then we deal with it, Harrison heard himself say. Together. Cole looked up, hope brightening. So we're not giving up? Harrison thought about Veronica alone in that apartment, about the woman in the parking lot so desperately lonely. He thought about his wife's voice saying kindness was free. No, we're not giving up. But I need to talk to Veronica first. Cole grinned. Tell her we don't care about her dad's money. Tell her we just want her. Simple for kids. Maybe it should be simple for adults too. He texted Veronica that night. Can we talk? Really talk? She responded almost immediately, like she'd been waiting. Yes, please. They agreed to meet the next day at the coffee shop. Harrison picked up Cole from school early. We're going to see Veronica, Cole asked, bouncing. Maybe. We're going to try. When they walked into the coffee shop, Veronica was already there. Harrison's breath caught. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. But when she saw Cole, her whole face lit up, and the kid ran to her, wrapping his arms around her. I missed you, Cole announced. Veronica's hands hovered before settling on his shoulders, eyes meeting Harrison's over his head. I missed you too. More than you know. They sat together, Cole between them. Harrison felt the rightness of it, even knowing how complicated it would be. I'm sorry, Veronica started. Harrison shook his head. We both are. But Cole reminded me of something. My wife used to say love required being brave, and I think whatever this is between us, it's worth being brave for. Veronica's eyes filled with tears. Cole reached over, patting her hand. It's okay to cry. Dad cries sometimes, too. Veronica laughed through tears, squeezing Cole's hand. Your son is the wisest person I've ever met. He gets it from his mom, Harrison replied. But yeah, he's pretty great. He leaned forward. Look, I don't know how to do this. Dating a billionaire wasn't in my life plan. But Cole's right. You fit with us. You fit in a way nobody else has since my wife died. So maybe we figure it out as we go. Veronica wiped her eyes. My father is going to lose his mind. A heating and cooling technician with a kid doesn't fit his plans. So we deal with your father when we have to, Harrison said. Together. He reached across, taking her hand. Warm this time, steady. I'm not rich, and I can't give you the life you're used to, but I can promise you honesty and real connection and a kid who already loves you, if that's enough. Veronica looked at their joined hands, then at Cole. It's more than enough. It's everything. Cole whooped, loud enough to draw stares, and threw his arms around both of them. Harrison caught Veronica's eye and saw his own relief reflected back. They'd made it through the first crisis. The next weeks were learning to navigate two worlds. Veronica started spending more time at their house, a modest 3-bedroom where kids played in streets. She relaxed there, something untangling when she walked through the door. She learned to cook simple meals with Cole as assistant, laughed when their first spaghetti turned into a sauce-splattered disaster. Harrison watched her transform in his space, becoming someone looser, freer, more like the woman in the parking lot, the real person beneath armor. Harrison met some of her world, too. Attending a charity gala where he felt like an alien in a rented tux. Veronica stayed close, her hand in his. He watched her navigate that space, fake smiles, careful conversations, performing being someone she wasn't. This wasn't living, it was surviving. When a man approached, older, with Veronica's eyes but none of her warmth, Harrison knew it was her father. "So you're the mechanic," Preston Ashford said. "HVAC technician," Harrison corrected. "And you're the father who made her give away her dog." Temperature dropped. Veronica's hand tightened on his. "Harrison," she warned, but there was gratitude in her voice. Preston's eyes narrowed. "My daughter has told you about that?" Ancient history. She was a child who needed discipline. Harrison smiled without warmth. She was a kid who needed to be loved. There's a difference. Preston looked like he wanted to say more, but they were in public. Instead, he turned to Veronica. "We'll speak later, about your choices." Then he walked away. "I can't believe you said that," Veronica breathed. "Did you see his face?" Harrison shrugged. "He's a bully. Bullies back down when you stand up to them." Veronica laughed, a little wild. "That's my father. He could make your life difficult." Harrison pulled her closer. "Let him try." But later in his truck, Harrison's hands shook. He'd made an enemy of one of the city's most powerful men. The fears circled, but underneath was stubborn certainty. He'd do it again. Preston moved fast. Within 2 weeks, Harrison lost half his contracts, all connected to Preston's empire. Harrison sat at his kitchen table, looking at his dwindling account. Rage and fear mixing. Veronica was horrified. "I'll fix this," she said. Harrison shook his head. "That's what he wants." He picked up extra jobs, but the math was brutal. Cole asked one night, voice small, "Are we poor now?" Harrison couldn't lie. "We're tight on money, but we're okay." Cole processed this. "Is it because of Veronica?" Harrison hesitated. "Kind of. But that's not her fault." Cole said with brutal honesty, "Mom wouldn't have let someone hurt us." The words hit hard. "No," Harrison agreed quietly. "She wouldn't have." Veronica showed up the next evening looking different, hair severe, suit screaming power. "I went to see my father," she said, voice hard. "Told him to back off or I'd go public with every family secret. He backed down. Your clients will call again." Harrison should have felt relieved. Instead, uneasy. "What did it cost you?" "He wants me back," Veronica said. "In the business, public life. Thinks this is all negotiation." She laughed hollow. "He doesn't understand I just want out." Harrison took her hands. The expensive watch was back. "You don't have to go back." Veronica met his eyes. "It's not about money. It's about him going after you, after Cole. I can't walk away completely if I want to protect you." "That's not fair to you," Harrison said. Veronica shrugged. "Fair stopped mattering when I fell in love with you." The words hung between them. First time either had said it. "You love me?" Harrison asked, voice rough. Veronica nodded, tears spilling. "I love both of you. But loving you means protecting you. Even if that means going back to being someone I hate." They stood in his kitchen holding each other when Cole's voice came from the hallway. "Veronica, why are you sad?" Cole crossed to her, wrapping his arms around her. "You don't have to be alone sad. You can be together sad with us." Veronica crumbled, sinking to Cole's level. "How did I get so lucky to meet you?" Cole patted her back. "Dad says Mom sent you." "Your mom sounds smart," Veronica said. Cole nodded seriously. "She said family isn't just blood. It's who shows up. You show up. That makes you family." Veronica looked up at Harrison over Cole's head. "Cole's right," Harrison said. "You're family. We protect family, even from billionaire assholes." Veronica laughed and cried, and Cole looked pleased with himself. That night, they tried figuring out a path forward. "What if you cut ties completely?" Harrison suggested. Veronica shook her head. "He'd see it as war. Come after you harder. The only leverage I have is staying connected." She leaned against him. "Maybe there is another way. Going public with us. Making it a story about love overcoming class. My father hates public sentiment." Harrison thought about putting their private life on display. "You'd be okay with that?" Veronica was quiet. "I'd hate it, but I'd hate losing you more. We could do an interview, tell our story on our terms. Make it a fairy tale people root for. He can't destroy that without destroying himself." It was risky, but Harrison saw the logic. "What about Cole?" "We protect him," Veronica said firmly. "Control how much he's involved, but he's already part of this." Harrison hated it, but knew she was right. "Let me think about it." Over the next days, he talked to Cole about it. Cole asked, "Will it make her safe?" When Harrison nodded, Cole said simply, "Then we do it. Family protects family." They arranged an interview with a sympathetic journalist. The day came, and they told their story, the parking lot, the fear, the falling in love across worlds. Cole charmed everyone talking about space fish and foot prisons. When asked about her father, Harrison said simply, "He doesn't understand his daughter isn't a business asset. She's a person who deserves to be happy. And she's happy with us." The article came out 2 days later, with candid photos of them laughing, reading, hands joined. The headline, "The Billionaire Who Found Love in a Parking Lot." Social media exploded with support. People shared their own stories of choosing love over money, Cinderella in reverse. Preston tried issuing a statement, but it fell flat against public opinion. Within a week, Harrison's phone rang with clients, the lost ones plus new ones. Business improved beyond before. Veronica was mobbed with supporters whenever she went out. It accomplished what they'd hoped, made them untouchable. Preston couldn't attack without proving every criticism in the article true. But attention took its toll. Veronica struggled with constant scrutiny. One night she broke down in his kitchen after someone wanted photos at the grocery store. "Every time I leave the house, I'm that woman from the article. I'm a story, not a person." Harrison held her, helpless. They'd won the battle but lost something else, the privacy that made their relationship feel real. Cole found them like that. Without a word, he climbed on the counter, reached the fridge top, pulled down a jar. Inside were rolled papers. "Mom made these before she got sick. She called them emergency truths. Said when things got bad, we should read one." He unrolled one. Shaky handwriting. The hard thing and the right thing are usually the same thing. Cole looked at Veronica. "Is loving us the right thing, even if it's hard?" "Yes," Veronica whispered. "It's the right thing," Cole said with certainty. "Then we figure out the hard parts together. That's what family does." Harrison felt something break open in his chest. Cole's right. We figure it out. Maybe we need quieter places. Time for the story to die down. But we don't give up. Veronica wiped her eyes. "I'm not used to things being hard and still being worth it." "Struggle means you care," Harrison said gently. "We care about you. So we struggle together." They created new routines, weekends at his house, cooking meals, board games, space documentaries. She learned their rhythms, Saturday pancakes, Sunday park visits when crowds thinned, bedtime routines. Slowly, in their small world's privacy, she transformed into someone more relaxed, more herself. 4 months after the article, Veronica got a letter from her father's lawyers. He was cutting her off completely. No family money, no trust fund, nothing. Come back or lose everything. Veronica showed Harrison with shaking hands. "I knew he'd do something." Harrison read the cold legal language. "How bad is it?" She bit her lip. "I have savings. Investments, not homeless. But I'll need a job, smaller place, actually budget. I don't even know how to budget. Then we teach you, Harrison said simply. Cole and I are experts at making $5 stretch. He pulled her into his arms. This is what he wanted, to punish you. But maybe it's actually freedom. No strings to him. Just you, living your own life. Veronica pulled back. You're not upset? I'm bringing drama into your life. Harrison shook his head. Your family. Family doesn't get cut loose because they're inconvenient. Veronica moved out of her penthouse the following month, finding a modest apartment in Harrison's neighborhood. Watching her downsize was strange. Sorting possessions, deciding what mattered. Most she donated. She kept books, meaningful art, hidden childhood photos of her and Copper. Moving day was chaotic with Cole running between boxes, Harrison assembling big box furniture. Veronica looked around her new living room, small, ordinary, nothing like before, and burst into tears. It's perfect, she said. It's mine. She got a job at a nonprofit helping underprivileged kids access education. The salary was a fraction of before, but she came home energized, like Harrison had never seen. I helped a kid get into a coding program today, she'd say, eyes bright. She used her connections, her knowledge of wealth and power, to open doors for people who'd never had them. It gave her purpose, running from her father never had. One night, almost a year after they met, Harrison took her back to the restaurant parking lot. Late, nearly empty, like that first night. Why are we here? Veronica asked, smiling. Harrison parked in the same spot where his headlights had caught her crying. I wanted to see if it felt different now. They got out. Harrison walked to where her car had been. Veronica followed, standing where she'd stood when he offered his hand. Does it feel different? Veronica looked around, at the parking lot, restaurant, Harrison's truck with 200,000 miles. It feels like a lifetime ago, like that was a different person. She turned to him. I was so lost that night, so convinced I'd never fit anywhere, never find people who wanted me instead of what I could give. And then you saw me at my worst and stayed. Harrison closed the distance. You weren't at your worst. You were at your most real, and I fell in love with that version of you. He pulled out a small box. Veronica's eyes went wide. This isn't fancy, he warned, not the kind of ring you probably imagined, but it's real, like us. Inside was a simple silver band with a small diamond. Nothing like jewelry from her old life, but beautiful in its simplicity. Veronica Ashford, Harrison said, voice steady despite his racing heart. Will you marry a guy who fixes air conditioners, lives in a house with stains, and comes with a kid who asks about space fish? Will you be part of our weird little family officially? Veronica was crying, nodding before he finished. Yes. God, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. She kissed him there in the parking lot where everything started, where she'd been at her lowest and he'd offered his hand. I love you, she said against his lips. I love your terrible jokes and your kind heart and the way you make me feel like I'm enough exactly as I am. They got married 3 months later, small ceremony in a park with close friends, and Cole as ring bearer. Preston wasn't invited, though he sent a cold letter congratulating her and noting the door was always open should she come to her senses. Veronica threw it away without a second glance. Harrison's neighbor officiated. Cole gave a speech about how Veronica proved you didn't need blood to be family, just to show up. No dry eyes. Afterward, cake, cheap champagne, dancing to music from a Bluetooth speaker. Nothing like the society wedding she'd been groomed for. Everything she'd ever wanted. A year later, they were still figuring things out. Two people from different worlds building something new. Veronica's nonprofit work led to promotion, bringing in just enough. Harrison's business stayed steady, built on word of mouth and honest work rather than Ashford connections. Cole thrived, secure in a family rebuilt around love instead of obligation. They had dinner together every night, the three of them, plus whoever else they'd collected. Neighbors, friends, people needing a place to belong. Their house was small and crowded and full of laughter. Everything the penthouse had never been. Sometimes Veronica would wake up at night, still surprised to find herself in Harrison's bed, in this life she'd accidentally fallen into. She'd think about the woman crying in a parking lot, too scared to walk into a restaurant, too convinced she'd ruin anything good. That woman felt like a stranger now. "You awake?" Harrison would mumble, pulling her closer. "Just thinking," she'd reply. "About what?" She'd smile into darkness. "About how the best thing that happened to me started with a canceled date and a parking lot breakdown." Harrison would laugh, that sleepy sound she loved. "Lucky for both of us, I'm a sucker who can't drive away from a crying woman." "Lucky for both of us," she'd agree, meaning it with everything she had. On the first anniversary of their meeting, they went back to the parking lot one more time, bringing Cole. "This is where you guys met?" he asked skeptically. "Doesn't look very romantic." Harrison laughed. "It wasn't. Your new mom was crying. I was sad. Everything was a mess." Cole looked between them. "But you fixed it." Veronica crouched to his level. "We fixed it together." That's the thing about broken things. Sometimes they're more beautiful after they heal because you can see where they were put back together. She pulled both Cole and Harrison into a hug, the three standing in that parking lot where everything changed. "Sometimes," she continued, "the person you're meant to find shows up exactly when you've stopped looking for them." "And sometimes," Harrison added, "they're crying next to an expensive car, hiding from their own life." Veronica laughed, sound echoing across the empty lot. "And sometimes," Cole chimed in, voice serious, "your dead mom sends you a new one because she knows you need someone to make you laugh again." The truth hung in the air between them, beautiful and painful and real. Harrison's wife had loved him enough to want him happy after she was gone. And somehow, impossibly, he'd found that happiness with a woman who'd been running from everything he'd been running toward. "Your mom would have liked Veronica," Harrison told Cole, meaning it. "She would have seen past all the scared to the person underneath." "I would have liked her too," Veronica said softly. "Anyone who raised a kid this wise must have been pretty special." They stood there a moment longer, three people who'd become a family through luck and choice, and the kindness of a man who'd seen someone crying and couldn't look away. Then Cole tugged at their hands. "Can we get ice cream now? I feel like we should celebrate not being sad in parking lots anymore." They laughed and piled into Harrison's truck, the same one from that first night, and drove toward ice cream and home and the life they'd built from broken pieces. Behind them, the parking lot sat empty and ordinary, holding the ghost of a meeting that changed everything. Two lonely people who'd found each other at exactly the right time, in exactly the right way. Because sometimes the best love stories start with canceled plans and tears in parking lots. Sometimes what feels like an ending is really just the beginning of something better. And sometimes, when you stop running and let someone see you at your most broken, that's when you finally find your way home.